Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Man, Antonelli here.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How we doing? Matt Antonelli here. Today we're talking about my favorite Major League managers. Before we do that, today's video is sponsored by Rocket Sports. Rocket makes top quality baseball gear and equipment. I highly recommend you go check their stuff out. We use it with all our Antonelli baseball teams. Just click the link below. It's going to take you over to their site. Going to give you 15% off of your first order, so definitely go and do that. Okay, so let's talk about my favorite Major League managers. Now, if you know my channel and you know me, you're going to say, well, Matt, you only played in the major leagues with one team. How do you know any other major league managers? So we're going to talk about, yes, my time in the major leagues, but then also in big league spring training. What people sometimes don't realize is big league spring training is a couple more guys. So it's not a 25-man roster or a 26-man roster. It's a few more players. But you're still going to spend every single day for almost 2 months with the team, with the manager. So, for example, during my time with the Baltimore Orioles, I was around Buck Showalter every single day. So I saw him every day at our so-called practices in spring training. He was in the clubhouse every day. I had to talk to him in his office a bunch. I play every game for him. I'm on the bench for him. And this happens over pretty much a 2-month period. So you get to know not just the managers that you play for at the major league level, but also in spring training, in big league spring training again, if you are invited to that. So I have a bunch of different managers I'm going to talk about. And I'm going to go over each one of them and talk about kind of my favorite one, why I thought that was, and then we're going to hit on ones that maybe I didn't like as much. So I'm going to start with Buddy Black of the Padres, who's now with the Rockies, because that was my actual manager when I actually played in a major league game. And even if I hadn't, I think I probably, I got to know Buddy the best because I was with them for a long time. So I played with the Padres. I got drafted in 2006. And my last season was 2010. So I played for a while. I played at the major league level. I played in big league spring training for multiple years. So I got to know Buddy really well. When I think of Buddy Black, I think of professional first off. Everything he did I thought was just very professional. I think that a couple things really. One, he gets to know his players really, really well. That's the first thing I noticed. He would know everybody, and he would know things about every player, things that you would be like, first off, you'd be like, how did he know that? Second off, why does he even know that? Right? So in big league spring training, we'd have players come up that were probably never, ever going to play in a major league game. They just happened to come up and fill in for a game. Maybe they needed to get an extra guy on the bench. And he would always, I've seen him do this like 1,000 times, go over, introduce himself, talk to the player, get to know the player. And this is a player, this would happen again with players that maybe were never, ever, ever going to see the major leagues, and he was never going to have to see maybe ever again. Yet he still took the time to do that, which I thought was super impressive. Every time you see the guy, he says hello to you. If you're walking anywhere in the clubhouse, you pass him. I've been around some coaches and managers who they just put their head down, they walk by, and they never say anything to you. And Buddy Black was the opposite. He would always say hello. He always seemed like he was in a good mood. He always brought great energy to the field. So I just really, really liked that about him. The other thing that he did during spring training, and even during the regular season in the major leagues, was that he would always take time during batting practice to walk around and get a feel for how everyone was doing that day. So this is something I picked up, and it was the first time I really saw someone do this. Again, where we'd be hitting spring training or we'd be hitting batting practice, and he'd kind of be roaming around the field, and he'd spend a minute or so with each player, not with each player, but with, it seemed like each player, and he would just kind of check in on you, how you doing, what's going on, maybe talk to you about something off the field, maybe had an injury or something like that, but he would just get a feel for everybody. And I think that really helps as a manager, especially at the major league level. I mean, one of the most important things is you're taking a whole group of grown people, right? So grown men. It's not, you're so used to, as a player, you're getting coached a lot as like younger players, right? That's what most people think of when they think about coaches. But these are grown men. Some guys are 35, maybe even 40 years old. And so one of the biggest things is making sure that everyone is on the same page and everyone is fighting towards the same goal. And sometimes it doesn't happen at the major league level, or when players start to get really, really old. And I think that he does a great job of making sure that he knows everyone. He knows the mental state that every person is in. And if there's some place where he feels maybe they shouldn't be, he's able to talk to them. And that's a big, big role of a major league manager. So I thought he was great with that. He always gave me a lot of confidence, and I was not, when I was playing for him, you guys know my story. I didn't have a great first, whatever month or so at the major league level. Didn't hit great. I'd come from AAA where I was struggling for most of the year, and I was dealing with a bunch of injuries. After that year, I kept getting injured and kept missing seasons. And I felt like he never, he might have, maybe he did lose hope and was like, this guy's a bum, he's never going to play. But he never let me know that. And he always made me feel confident like I was going to come back. Like there was times where I wasn't even in the major leagues anymore. And he would see me someplace, whether it was around the complex or something, or whether I was injured and basically like my season was lost and I was not coming back for the whole year. And like I'd be out stretching in the corner, I had my headphones on, I'd be doing something, and he'd come over. I remember vividly one time he'd come over and he like tapped me, and I took my headphones off, and he was like, "Hey man, you just got to keep working. You're going to be a great player at the major league level one day." And I was like, "Thank you so much." Like. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to come over and say, at that point, like I'd already been injured like a bunch of times, and it looked like I was probably never going to help the team. And he still made me feel like I got to keep working hard. Like he thinks I can do this, right? And again, I don't know if maybe he was like, no, this guy's got no chance. I'm just going to be a nice guy. Or maybe he actually believed that. But those were the little things that I thought was really, really impressive when it came to Buddy Black. And so I really enjoyed my time with him. I thought he was a great guy, and I thought he was a really, really good manager. Let's go to my next manager, Buck Showalter, when I was with the Orioles. And so with the Orioles, I never played in a major league game. I only played in Major League Spring Training. Again, I was there with him for 2 months. The thing that stuck out to me about Buck was that he was very, very prepared. I saw him do things and talk to us about things that I hadn't seen on other teams. He always carried like the rule book around with him, which I hadn't seen that before. Maybe others did. They just never took it out, or I never really saw it. But he always had like a rule book, and it was all highlighted, all these different things, and he'd have it in his pocket, and he'd pull it out a lot during the game. I feel like I always saw him looking over at it, or it was just, again, something I'd never seen before. One thing that he did that I never had seen in another team was he would ask players during games, if this happened and you were out there, what would you do? So I remember I was watching the game one day, and I wasn't starting. Robert Andino was starting at second base, and a play happened. I think it was a first and third play. Something happened, and Andino made a decision. He made the play, and then I'm watching the game, and then all of a sudden, like I feel him, like he walks right up right here, and he's like, "Hey," he explains the situation again. He goes, "What do you do there at second base?" And so it caught me a little bit off guard. A lot of times in spring training, like you're watching the game, but there's a lot of games, right? And so you're watching the game. You're also keeping track of what inning it is, because like for me, typically I went in around like the 5th inning usually. Depends on the game a little bit, but I usually would go into second base like a little bit later in the game. And so sometimes you're not always paying attention to every little play that happens. Thankfully I was, because he asked me that, and I kind of hesitated for a minute, and then I told him what I thought, and I said, "Please, hopefully I got that right." And he was like, "Okay, great." And he went and he sat back down. But he would do that like periodically with players. Again, with something I never saw before. So I feel like he was very prepared. I feel like he thought the game and situations out a lot. I could see him like sitting in his clubhouse. Again, I didn't see him do this. I could see him sitting in his clubhouse until like 4 in the morning, going over different types of scenarios and different types of situations. He just seemed like that's something he would do. We also did something, again, that I never did in any other organization. We had like a little film room, and we would go in there and he would show a bunch of different plays. Almost, I think of it like football, like you would in the NFL. You don't typically do that in baseball. Usually in baseball, when you're watching film, you're watching yourself. You're watching your swing mechanics. You're watching your pitching mechanics, or your double play footwork, or something like that. But this was watching it in a team atmosphere and talking about actual plays that happen in the game and how we would defend them differently. What would we do? Again, I've never seen that before. We practiced plays that I never really practiced, things that come up once in 100 years. For the first time ever, we practiced with a man on third base, and a fly ball in foul territory down either line that wasn't a deep fly ball, but one where the first baseman or the third baseman would have to go out and the shortstop would come over in the outfield of the corner outfield would come and get it. So let's talk about down the first base line. Fly ball, first baseman goes out, second baseman goes out, third baseman goes out, man on third base, he's going to tag, it's in foul territory. In all my other years of baseball, I never really thought about it. You just catch the ball, you turn, you fire it in, you hope that you can get him out. Sorry, let me back up a second. First and third. I said just a man on third. It's first and third, okay? And so I never really thought about this play before. I mean, first and third with a ball hit foul territory where all three guys are going out. It doesn't happen a ton. But we worked on the first base, or the pitcher had to be a cut, so he would have to run over towards first base. We'd catch the ball, and then we'd fire it in to the pitcher. The pitcher would cut the ball, and now he could check both runners. The reason that you do that is because if you just take the ball and this guy's going to break home and you throw the ball all the way home, well, the runner at first can tag, and then once he sees the ball thrown, he can take off. There's no cut man. There's nothing you can do, right? If there is a cut man, then obviously you catch the ball, you fire it into the cut man as quickly as you can. So now you keep the runner at first and at third, right? The other thing is, if it was first and third, right, and you're out there, you catch the ball, and this runner starts to kind of take off, he could if he wanted to. If there was no cut man and no threat of anything, he could just kind of run the second. You throw the ball the second you throw, the runner at third takes off and scores also. So it's just to prevent either runner from just kind of taking off and then getting the other runner there. A play that I never really thought of. We showed it on video, and then we worked on it a bunch. And still to this day, I've never worked on that play with any other team that I've ever played on. So just an example of one play that he was clearly thinking about. And we would do that a lot with small plays. So when I think of Buck Showalter, I think of that. I think of being prepared and covering all the situations. I thought he was really, really good at that. I never got to know Buck on a personal level like I did with Buddy Black, but I wasn't around him long enough. And one thing I forgot to say about Buddy that let me say real quick, the other thing that he did in spring training was he was great at bringing the team together. He would have us do these really unique things where I showed you guys my thing, I think, where I had to dress up and go to a rodeo. But every spring training, he'd have a different player or two. He'd pick the thing, whether it was play guitar or sing a song or go someplace and report on it, or he would find unique things about you. Like for me, he knew I was from Boston. I'd never been to a rodeo in my life, so he made me go to a rodeo and bring a camera crew and film it and report back to the team. But he was really, really good. Again, team bonding things, bringing everybody together, getting to know your teammates. Again, just another example. I failed to mention that. I wanted to say it. Okay. So now let's go to another manager I had. So let's go to the Nationals with Jim Riggleman. Now, these will be a little bit quicker because I probably went to only about, 10 to 12 Major League spring training games with the Nationals. Didn't play in a whole lot of them, mostly went to watch. I never said one word to Jim Riggleman in all my games there. So this was a little different experience than with Buddy Black. So Buddy Black would always talk to the players and make sure he got to know them and introduce himself. When I played with the Nationals, no one ever said anything to me. I just went to the games. You know, I'd be in the clubhouse, I'd be on the team bus or whatever, and then I'd play in the game, or I would sit and just watch the game. But no one ever introduced themselves to me. So it was a little bit different feeling. I didn't feel really like at home when I was with the Nationals like I did with the Padres. Now I understand, I got drafted by the Padres, spent a long time with the Padres. I only spent 1 year with the Nationals. But it was something I thought like I'd always be playing. I'd be like, I don't know anybody here really, and no one's introduced themselves. And you know, I probably should have just went over and introduced myself to all the manager, or to the manager and to the coaching staff and stuff. I got to know the hitting coach a little bit because we would, you know, go in the cage and work together and stuff like that. But he was the only one I really got to know. And the only other thing that sticks out my time there was I remember I was leaning up on the railing watching, you know, I was just talking to guys before the game. It was probably like 10, 15 minutes before the game started. I remember I'm watching, just kind of sitting there hanging out. And all of a sudden I get whacked, like in the back, like like a slap or something. I was like, oh, what is that? I turn around and it was our pitching coach, who I'd never met before. And he was like, hey, what are you doing? When a pitcher comes in a dugout, you come over and give him a high five or a pound or something. And I was like, okay. So I turn around and the pitcher was just coming like down the dugout. You know, he'd just come in from throwing down in the bullpen. And I was like, hey, here we go, man. And I gave him that, which usually I always do. Like, I mean, that is a part of baseball, is when the pitcher comes in the dugout, usually after the bullpen, he's going to get a glass of water or a drink of water or something. You say, hey, here we go. just give him a high five, whatever. I didn't know he was coming in. Like, I had no idea. I forget what we were talking about or what we were looking at or something like that, but he came in behind me and I didn't see it. And so our pitching coach whacked me and said, "What the hell are you doing? Give the guy a pound or something." And I was like, "Yes, sir." And I gave it to him. That was the only interaction I ever had with him. So again, just a little bit different. I don't have a whole lot that I can say about this because I didn't really get to know him at all. And then the last big league manager that I didn't get to know, but I got to play for a little bit was Terry Francona when I was with the Indians. Now the Indians, I played a little bit less. I didn't play in a ton of major league games. I think I only got like 3 at-bats. I remember I got to hit my first at-bat. I think I went 1 for 3 total. I was at a few games where I just sat and watched, so I didn't play. But the one thing, again, about Terry Francona, and I've heard all great things about playing for him. I heard that he's, obviously he's been around forever. Great manager, but kind of similar, I've heard, to like Buddy Black, where he gets to know all of his players really, really well. And I do know the very first time I ever played for the Indians, I grabbed my bat, and I went to basically get in the hole to go on the on-deck circle in a second. And he was like, "Hey, man," he introduced himself, and he said, "You're a Peabody, Mass guy, right?" And I was like, "Yes, sir. I grew up in Peabody, cheered for the Red Sox for a long time and everything." He's like, "Oh, that's awesome, man." So it was just like a really quick interaction. But the fact that he said hello. He knew who I was, even though this was very late in my career when I was, I got I got released by the Indians. I got sent to AAA, I got put on the Phantom DL, and then I got released. So I really was not going to make any contribution to the team. But he at least knew something about me, said hello. And again, I think that goes back towards the type of manager he is, where he does a really good job of knowing his players, making his players feel part of the organization. And that was really my only real interaction with him. Now, I went to some practices with the big league team and stuff, but I never really had like a whole lot of one-on-ones with him. So that's my thought on all the managers. I guess Buddy Black won. It's kind of an unfair contest because I had him the most. But just to give you a little bit of insight into each manager and kind of my dealings with them and my overall thoughts. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Let me know if you have any more questions in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. Share with all your friends. All that good stuff. And we'll talk to you later.